Hello, friends and family. We're still in the apartment. We're still house hunting, but we're house hunting with a different realtor now. Had a falling out with the previous realtor. um, I'm someone who's not good at being, I don't know, or I don't know if it's, I guess it depends on the situation. But of course, when I'm in a new situation, that I'm unfamiliar with and I'm not sure about, and I'm relying on a professional to show me the way, I'm putting a lot of trust in them. And I'm hoping they're leading me in the right direction and giving me sound advice. Um, and so, it can be kind of hard to be assertive enough and to put your foot down because you're not sure of what you're doing, about your decisions, um, because you're unfamiliar with the situation. It's new. I've never house hunted before. um, to buy a house, um, rented homes before, apartments. Usually renting a home. Actually, renting an apartment is something that that I really don't um, like to do, even though we have spent um, quite a few years in apartments since we came out this way. Um, but I've usually managed to rent a home, and that's what I'm used to. I grew up in a home, and I think, as far as I can remember, the closest we ever came to living in an apartment, um, when I was a child, was we lived in what you would call a set of row homes. Um, some people call them, side by sides. Um, so it, but they were based. It was a complex of row homes. Um, and in a not so well, they considered a not so nice area of town, but in a row home like that, it's like a house. It's yeah, depending on whether we were on an end, the far end, so we only had one person connected to us. But if you're in the middle somewhere, then you're most likely you got somebody on each side of you. But that's that's not like being in an apartment where you have somebody, depending on how the apartments are made. um, there might be somebody, you know below you, above you, beside you, behind you. To me, that feels claustrophobic. um, this little apartment is more of a row home, so it doesn't feel claustrophobic, but it because it is so small, and our neighbors are basically, there's a little bit of a yard to it, and a sidewalk between our little yard and the person's little yard across from us. You, you, you know, at the right time of day, with the curtains open for sunlight, they can see right in, and I can see right in over there. Um, and and I've had them open their curtain and watch me as I'm coming home from work. And yeah, I have some odd hours, but I don't work a weird job. I just work on the freight team. I unload a truck at night. I don't work in any of the casinos here, and I'm not interested in a job like that. Even though I understand some of those jobs do pay quite well, but I'm just uncomfortable with that whole kind of scene there. So I'm just not interested in anything like that. And plus, I've been with my current employers for almost 4 years, and I'm not really wanting to go out and start job hunting. And, even though I would, if I did, I would probably quickly find a full-time position with somebody. Um, this conspiracy at my current employer to keep me forever part-time is driving me nuts. But anywho, life goes on, and so we're still house hunting, and we're working with a new realtor now. I really like him. I feel like he's taken the time to listen to me, and and I've there's what I am comfortable with spending and what would keep me at a comfortable house payment, and then there's what I think I'm gonna have to spend to get us into something decent. Um, and and that house payment is gonna make things tight. Um, like things aren't already tight enough. Um, you know, it sucks to be poor as it is, but then to be house poor on top of that poor is not going to be fun. Um, so yeah, it's a little frustrating. There's a couple more I'm hoping I'll get to look at tomorrow. Um, and then I guess I'm gonna kind of put offers on the things that I feel the most comfortable with. Um, and you know, but it's been frustrating. If you want to have an idea of what we're dealing with, you can go on Zillow, bring up Las Vegas, Nevada, and see what's available for around 100,000. You know, you- there's one that we saw on there. We didn't go look at it because the scary pictures were enough, but they're asking, yeah, like they think it's 100,000 and for it, and it's been on fire. There's no roof. The windows are blown out, and of course there's plenty of charred blackness because the place is basically almost burnt to the ground. There's not a whole lot left, but some of the walls. Um, and yeah, they're asking 100,000 for that, and 100,000 cash because you can't get that financed. Um, I don't know what flipper is going to touch that one, but hey, good luck with that. Um, I don't know. Maybe it's in an area that's considered prime or something like that. I don't know. Um, I know some areas are considered better than others depending on where you are. And the one good thing about my transfer not going right when we moved last year was it's kind of given me the time to kind of get to know Las Vegas enough to know that I don't want to live in the city. Or else if my transfer had been going smoothly, I probably would have bought a house in the city at that time because the market was better last year and there was more available at more reasonable prices. And I don't know what's happening this year except for things have gotten tight and I've had problems with flippers, cash offers under things that were in my price range with problems that I could have dealt with. Um, and then of course so it's been, yeah, it's been interesting. The the one little house we looked at, it's in an HOA community in Pahrump, and it's just they're not asking a whole lot for it, and it's not selling because there is some funky electrical stuff going on. I never seen nobody put a hole in a wall to run a plug through the wall to outside to plug a. So that's what they did. They put a hole in the wall and ran a heavy duty plug into the house, plugged into the wall to the swamp cooler. Uh, other than that, it looks like the rest of the swamp cooler has been installed properly. Um, but swamp cooler does not provide the same level of cooling as central air or an air conditioner. Um, so, eh, I mean, it could be okay and out there in Pahrump, or where it has a tendency to be cooler than here in Vegas. That it might work okay, to have something like that for cooling the home. But yeah, that wasn't the only weird thing I saw as far as the third bedroom. I could tell was an ad. It didn't line up with the rest of the house. It dropped down about 2-3 inches from the rest of the house. It was lower, so there was a step down. Not a big step, but like I said, a noticeable step. It wasn't even with the rest of the house. And and then there was another plug coming through the wall and plugged into the outlet. And I was just like, well, where's that one going? Because I could see the one plug went to the swamp cooler. Oh, where was this going? And it took me a minute to took me a little bit of thinking about it to figure out where was that going, because I couldn't find what that was hooked to. And I finally figured it out that is because that room is an ad. They didn't wire it. Whoever did this did it their own ghetto way. It's the room is not wired into the house properly, providing electricity. The electricity for that room is that plug that's going, it's plugged in to the house. And I'm just like, who does this? And then you think you wonder why the house isn't moving. I mean, because other than that, they did a decent job on like the flooring, and the bathrooms are nice. But the house is not moving because that is scary to come in and see that something hasn't been wired properly. Electricity is not nothing to play with. That's something that needs to be done properly. So, and one of the houses we looked at, and I felt like I needed to take it seriously because it did have 4 bedrooms. And I definitely want room, for, friends and family to be able to come and visit. And, I know my brother Jason wants to come, and I definitely would love for my son to come and visit. I haven't seen him in over 10 years. So I had to take this house seriously that they're asking $125,000 for. As a matter of fact, I went back and took a second look at it because the ammonia smell from the pet urine was so bad it was distracting from everything else in the house. It was hard to be in the house. It was so bad that my daughter was retching and gagging and had to leave the house so she didn't vomit. That's how bad it smelled. And why, if you want people to take this property seriously that you want to sell, you wouldn't spend a couple $100 to have the carpets professionally cleaned, to at least try and get rid of the smell. It's beyond me. But yeah, that was so distracting the first time we saw it that I just couldn't focus, and she couldn't focus, and all she could say was, "I hate this house," and she didn't, after she calmed down a couple days later, she went back and looked at the pictures and was like, "Okay, I can see the potential in the house." And then that when she said that, I went back without her to take a second look. As a mom, I have a stronger stomach. And, just kind of walked around the property a little better to get a look at some things. There's an abandoned truck camper thing that's the plates say it's been sitting there since 2012. But it's locked up tight. You can't get in it. So I don't know. There's keys to that thing or how you're supposed to get rid of it if it's still there when you after you move into the house. But yeah, I had to go back, and after I went back, I saw some evidence of that the roof is leaking. Not maybe a bad leak yet, but enough that I could notice some water damage on one of the outside walls in the master bedroom, and then there's a couple of other wall damage in one of the other bedrooms, and and it's like, I don't. And maybe it's a minor thing that would be an easy fix, but most likely if this place has been neglected since 2012, it's probably going to have some serious issues that I might not be picking up on, because I'm not a construction worker. I'm not an electrician. I'm not a plumber. I probably, from my job, know a little bit more than some of the average home buyers, but not a whole lot more. And of course, there's a boarded up hole where there was at one time a air conditioner. And the property itself, the land, wasn't in good shape either. It didn't look like they had really did anything, tried to, whoever had been there, whatever, hadn't done anything to really improve it. And there are people asking the same thing where, there's some asking about the same price with some stuff that's been in way better shape. It doesn't smell like pee and ammonia. And, yeah. When we went to coming out to look at it for the second time, somebody else was coming to see it, and I was just like, I hope she's got a strong stomach, or she's got to hold her nose or whatever, this time I have no plans on putting an offer on that place, because what I would offer, I'm sure they would be insulted by. They would definitely feel like I was trying to lowball them. And it's not that I'm trying to lowball you. I'm looking at the condition of your property and all that needs to be done. And offering $3,000 to replace the carpet that is very badly urine stained from pets all over the place is not enough. No. So, like I said, hoping to see a couple more places, and then finally put in some some offers on a couple, and see, if anybody's willing to negotiate. I think there's, in some areas, maybe you can ask a price and you might get that, or depending on the demand in the area, you might get more. Where I am looking is not necessarily a high demand area, and definitely concerning, because I'm definitely looking at some properties that I can tell are flips by what's been done and what's been not done. Um, you know, uh, Low end flippers will often just throw in cheap carpet everywhere, and the one of the houses I'm considering, they I think they've run out of money, because there's a couple of things that are not done, and that would normally be done, and so and so it's just like, oh, I think they're done. The realtor was like, maybe we try and find out if they're planning on finishing a couple of things, and I think they're finished. I think they've run out of money, um, yeah, but the house, I can see it. The roof, it already needs repair. They didn't touch the roof, and it needs repaired. But the property itself has been, somewhat developed. There is a covered parking pad. Um, they way too much carpet. They did like a vinyl plank in the kitchen and the bathrooms, but then the rest of it is wall to wall cheap carpet. Uh, and so, but I don't know what all they ran into when they were, you know started repairing the house, that they might have found some serious issues that they had to pay attention to, and that stuff like that, electrical wiring, plumbing, um, if there was anything wrong with the septic tank, if there was anything wrong with the well, if it needed a new pump or something, those are things that can start getting expensive depending on what's going on, what's wrong, what the fix is required. Um, but yeah, so talking way longer than I planned to, but we're hanging in there, and I haven't given up yet, and I'm month to month right now, which is not cool because there's like an extra $100 a month for being month to month here, so yeah, it's a pain in the butt, but I don't want to sign another lease. I don't want to feel trapped here, or be trapped here. Okay. Anyhow, but like I said, we're hanging in there. We're okay, and we're still house hunting, and doing all right. We love and miss everybody, and hopefully soon we'll have a real home, where we can hang pictures. Ooh. So I'm not. I don't know. I guess I could try putting up some command strips, but I'm afraid of it not coming off the wall properly, or leaving behind a sticky residue, that kind of thing, and and then getting a weird charge for cleaning the walls or something after I've moved out. Anyhow, but that's what's going on with us right now, and we're hanging in there. Peace.